Hello and welcome to Dateline New Haven. I'm Paul Bass, inviting you to look behind the stories and the headlines. It's the close of another year, folks. I guess we're going to be going into our 10th year we're in our 10th year as a community radio station in New Haven, affiliated with the New Haven Independent. And I think it's been a good year. It's been a trying year. These are trying times magnified by the headlines and all the daily freakouts that we then forget the next day and go on to something else. But there's been a lot of good too, and a lot of struggle, a lot of joy. Well, that joy was in quotes during the presidential election. But today we're going to do a headlines and baselines to cap the year. Some random headlines from throughout the years. I'm not going to pretend they were the 10 most important or least important headlines. Just random 10 looks at headlines from throughout our year. And we're going to match it with songs, sometimes inspired by the headlines, reaching back decades in my baby boomer brain. But we're also going to highlight some new songs this year that really stuck with me, really resonated. I think we're in a good time, especially for Americana indie music. So there we go. And you're listening to Eliyahu Hanavi from the Afro Smith Experience. So one headline I noticed that kind of echoed other headlines. It was mini encampment dismantled. Then a separate headline from the Independent: City clears encampment, trashes, quote, trash. And in addition to when we had the big encampment the year before on the boulevard that got taken down, among all the drama, another under the highway underpass, then the question about tiny homes on Rosette Street where people put in shacks and may not been safe, but they had nowhere else to go. There are just more and more homeless people. The numbers have been increasing. The Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen has stepped up this year. They just opened a new warming center, and they're really at the forefront with some other groups like Columbus House and Hill Health, and trying to help people in these cold times. The warming center's opened, but you still have those encampments pop up. No matter how much help is offered, there are limited places for affordable housing. There are people living on the streets for a variety of reasons. It's complicated. Not everyone wants to go to a shelter even when a bed is available. So New Haven sometimes has been repeatedly cleared encampments there on the trash left on the green, feces on the church walls, on the upper green. But also there was a feeling that, well, if people can't go there, where are they going to go? And then when they don't want, for their reasons, to go to what's offered, what do you do then? We didn't solve it in this year. We did a lot of work on affordable housing. We opened that new facility for the city at a former hotel on Route 80. We're going to keep trying. We're going to keep trying together. We're not going to pretend the landscape is all new luxury apartment buildings, although there's some. Sometimes the landscape looks, if you know where to look, different, whether it's the upper green or is what the band Wednesday sang about in one of my favorite songs of 2024, which was TV in the Gas Pump.
On the side of the road, pick it up. Someone said in a big fucking field, looking at the monster on through the top grass, cutting it flat. People standing with their arms crossed. Racing to the door. TV in the gas home. Racing to the door. Racing to the door.
TV in the gas pump, racing to the dark. That's Wednesday. One of my personal favorite songs of 2024 here on Headlines and Basslines on WNHH-FM, looking back at 2024 and a little bit ahead to 2025. Here's another headline from the year in the New Haven Independent. Omni hotel workers go on strike. Then they won. It was part of a nationwide strike coordinated by a New Haven-bred labor organizer, Gwen Mills, who's now the president of the National Hotel and Restaurant Workers Union. And they are the parent union of not only Unite Here, which is the Yale unions that she did a lot of work for when she lived here, but also the Omni workers at all the Omni hotels in the country. I was in Oakland watching them go out at the same time around New Haven did. It was coordinated in waves, smart. They also represent the workers at the old Duncan Hotel. And so labor was on the march somewhat. And I think they had a good year. You know, you've seen other cities, Amazon's workers are starting to strike at the Starbucks. Not easy. It's going to be harder because we just had 4 years of a National Labor Relations Board that was pro-union. Now, with the new incoming administration, they're pro the kind of unions you used to see Richard Nixon supporting, like the Teamsters and the dock workers, who I would argue are often corrupt and enriching union leadership rather than grassroots. But labor is definitely organizing in the new labor environment, workplace environment. And I think we've had successes. We had a success on Omni workers. They got better wages, better working conditions. That's what we're hoping for. You know, in terms of marching, they did the pickets. Marching doesn't always play the role it used to. We can argue it played in the civil rights movement. That I don't think you're going to see these mass demonstrations against the Trump administration. I could be wrong, but I don't think you're going to see the pussy hats by the millions in Washington when Trump is inaugurated. There'll be protests all the time. There always are in America. But I don't think it's going to be like 2016. I don't think it's going to be like 2020 with George Floyd. I could be wrong. There will be protests, but I think the work is going to be quieter, but still serious. And there's still going to be work to do. Not just about the Trump administration, but about society in general and the workplace advance. And that's what John Gorka re-sang about in his remake of it, Eric Anderson's song, Thirsty Boots, about coming back from marching against the war back in the day, and hopefully there won't be new wars to march on very soon. This is John Gorka from the Bleecker Street collection of Greenwich Village, 60 songs redone by later artists singing Thirsty Boots.
You've long been on the open road, just sleeping in the rain. From dirty words and muddy cells, your clothes are smeared and stained. But the dirty words and muddy cells will soon be hid in shame. So only stop to rest yourself till you are off again. So take off your thirsty boots and stay for a while. Your feet are hot and weary from a dusty mile. Maybe I can make you laugh, maybe I can try. Just looking for the evening, the morning in your eyes. Tell me of the ones you saw as far as you could see. Across the plains from field to town, just marching to be free. And of the rusted prison gates that tumbled by degree, like laughing children, one by one they looked like you and me. So take off your thirsty boots and stay for a while. try. Just looking for the evening, morning in your eyes. No, you are no stranger down the crooked rainbow trails, from dancing cliff-edge shattered sills of slandered shackled jails. For the voices drift up from below as the walls they're being scaled. Yes, all of this and more, my friend, your song shall not be failed. Yes, you've long been on the open road, just sleeping in the rain. From dirty words and muddy cells, your clothes are smeared and stained. But the dirty words and muddy cells will soon be judged insane. So only stop to rest yourself till you are off again. And take off your thirsty boots and stay for a while. Feet are hard and weary from a dusty mine. Maybe I can make you laugh, maybe I can try. Just looking for the evening, morning in your eyes.
Take off your thirsty boots and stay for a while. That was John Gorka reinterpreting the Eric Anderson classic, Thirsty Boots, about marching on the streets feeling tired, taking a little pause before you march again. I think we're in that period right now at the end of this year as 2024 comes to a close. We're all a little spent. We had a busy year, a lot to be happy about, some to be less pleased about, but ready to try to make better next year together as a community, as a nation. And we'll have thirsty boots once again, but let's give a little rest for a few weeks, doing that here at Headlines and Basslines. Dateline New Haven, WNHH, New Haven's home for community radio. Some headlines from the New Haven Independent and songs inspired by it, as well as some songs that are favorites of mine that came out this year, as well as some old tunes. You know, one of the biggest stories of the year, I think, was 2 years in the making, and good news was new police union contract approved. There were 2 years the police department worked without a contract. People were leaving the force. New Haven's police, like forces across the country, were having trouble keeping people. We've been understaffed. The officers worked hard this year. They were working triple shifts sometimes and mandatory double shifts. So cops often like that overtime work, that double shift. But when you're forced to over and over again because they have minimum manpower requirements, meaning we need a bunch of people on per shift, that it can wear you out. I mean, these aren't robots yet. These are human beings working in that job and other jobs in our town that are hard jobs, tiring jobs. And when we have so many people working those long hours, it's not good for them. It's not good for us that we appreciate the hard work. So this union got a contract finally reached. It's going to get us some parity to what they pay in the suburbs. Because we've had, in addition to those national problems, we've had a challenge in New Haven where we train people well at our police academy. And then suburban departments wait for the promising young cops to get a year or two under their belt after being trained in New Haven. Then they poach them, they pay them more, and they say, look, you're not going to have as much danger. So we had to figure out what to do. So we at least had to pay as much as the suburbs paid. And, you know, we don't have to promise that it'll be less interesting or that you have less risk because there are gains in the city. New Haven's an interesting place. It's an interesting community. There's a lot of passion here, a lot of love, a lot of challenges, and a lot of interesting work to do, including sophisticated detective work, community policing, that you don't quite do always in those other cities. And there's a lot of opportunity to find meaning in your work as a police officer if you're that kind of police officer. And we're just happy that the police got their raise. We're happy that we have good leadership in the city. So we were worried about another mass exodus, and it did not happen. Carl Jacobson is the police chief. He's doing a good job. And it's hard policing the city. any city, and it's also rewarding. And so Martha Vandell sang about dancing in the street. We were kind of doing that in a subdued way when this contract was finally dancing instead of shooting the street. Here's Martha Vandell's. They might have been dancing in the street, but they were relieved in the street. Not the transitive, in the police force and in the city when the police reached new contract this year. One of the good news headlines of 2024. We're looking at the good, bad, and the ugly headlines of 2024 here on Headlines and Basslines, and music inspired by the headlines, as well as new music that came out this year that was worth celebrating. Here was a headline: Arrested Pole, P-O-L, builds marriage business. It was kind of an odd story. There was a woman in Bridgeport who kept committing absentee ballot fraud and kept getting caught working for the mayor of Bridgeport, just blatantly bringing buckets of absentee ballots, you know how they do that, and just carting them en masse rather than having the people submit their own absentee ballots to City Hall. And they had to redo an election. They did an election 4 times for mayor of Bridgeport in the quarter. So this year, she was on hold from her job, though getting paid in Bridgeport. She had a patronage job there in City Hall down there. But they stopped her from, as a justice of the peace, making money on the side in Bridgeport by bringing in questionable marriages to conduct en masse. Bring all these people, many of them from India, here on like studying visas, not poor people fleeing repression, and trying to get her permanently by saying they're marrying people from this country. There's a lot of suspicion that those aren't real marriages. And they'd come in sometimes a dozen or more at a time with this woman, Wanda, who'd take the money, arrange it to an arranger, and then shepherd them through City Hall marriages, and then how to do the paperwork. And so she started showing up in New Haven, and people at City Hall were saying, well, what's going on in New Haven? All of a sudden, our first floor has been commandeered by this woman who'd been on TV for ballot fraud, doing this assembly line with just ferrying these couples, these often Indian men, and then much younger women from this country, first floor to the Vital Records office to get their licenses, then upstairs right in front of the mayor's office, getting married, and then on to the next one. So we reported this, and it turned out this is a challenge a lot of offices have faced in municipal government in Connecticut when these groups come in and do this en masse, and they can't really police it because it's a federal issue, but it ties up their ability to do other work. So other people from their city, because these aren't people from our city, right, come in, have trouble getting their marriage licenses or doing other work, other kinds of documents, death notices, whatever, birth certificates. So after our story, it did clear out for now. But meanwhile, something else that was, I just wanted to play a new song by MJ Lenderman. He put out an album. He was part of Wednesday, which is a group we played before. He had a breakout year. He came out with an album just a couple months ago that got just celebrated. It's on the top 10 list, even though it's a small label. He's not well known. And although when there was the hurricane in North Carolina, he brought together some other somewhat prominent Americana musicians to raise money to rebuild there in Nashville. And I think the album's terrific, and so do a lot of people. And my theory is that the young generation likes him because he's kind of got that shoegaze slacker type sound. And people in my baby boomers generation like him because there's so many echoes of the guitar licks and the lyrical approaches and the straight ahead rock approaches that the music we loved. And it's kind of old and new mixed together. And here's my favorite one. I think I played it the other day while I was cooking, like on Loud Blast on headphones 6 or 7 or 8 times in a row. I think it's a perfect rock song. See what you think. On My Knees by MJ Lenderman.
Of people having fun, 'cause I know going on vacation brings the worst out of everyone. Every day is a miracle, not to mention a threat. A bee's nest nestled in a hole in the yard of Travolta's bald head. Is it the TV static of a distant crowd, or maybe just the breeze? Go wherever you find me, you'll find me on my knees. So you may find me awake in the dark. I consider my heart out the window. The bushes shake, and I'm speaking in tongues. Those hiccups don't quit. I had a thought, but I forgot, like a train on a burning bridge. Is it the quiet hiss of a midnight kiss, or a river turned to breeze? Oh, wherever you find me, you'll find me on my knees. Oh,
you find me, you'll find me on my knees. MJ Lenderman. Well, wherever you find him, you're going to find him on top 10 lists of best albums of the years. The critics love him, and just people who love music like me love the music that's from his new album. And I think it's my favorite song on the album. It's not the one Wristwatch is getting the most play, and I think that's a good song too. I just think it's perfect, but for playing over and over again with the headphones loud when you're cooking. But that's just this opinion on Headlines and Basslines at WNHF. HFM, New Haven's home for community radio. We're doing an end of the year looking back at headlines, at some of the new music, some of the old music inspired by the headlines from the New Haven Independent. One of the best reporting jobs, and there was a lot of good reporting, the Independent, day in and day out, all year, from Tom Rainer, Maya McFadden, Laura Glesby, and Doreen Sharansky, and everybody. Was a story Laura did called Alder Fired from Drug Rehab Job after sexual relationship with patient. That was actually the second of two stories she did. She first spent a lot of time, months, doing these stories that are hard to get fair, accurate, and responsible. This had all those landmines in it. A city alder elected to represent the Hill also had a job as a clergy person at a troubled drug rehab place that actually went out of business and was for profit. We can talk about it another day. But he was having sexual relationship with at least one of the patients. It was inappropriate and it caused problems. And he quietly left the job. And Laura was able to confirm that in a way that it was accurate and solid and not questioned. And it led to the alder resigning from his leadership position. Hopefully he and the person he had the relationship with will emerge from a not good situation into a better situation. I think there's an example of how reporting, really strong, difficult, and meaningful reporting, helps us tackle tough issues and emerge stronger as a community, both on a personal level and as a community level. Way to go, Laura. She's an amazing reporter, and we're so lucky to have her. And I thought that was a great job. And Miracle Legion is a band that was nationally big in touring. Big, I mean, because they also did, TV songs and stuff and cartoons, but they also did big tours. And Mark Mulcahy was the front person and the writer, and he had a song Snacks and Candy about a racial murder in New York in the 90s at a place called Snacks and Candy. And I don't know why, but that title made me think about sometimes when I talk about a song we're just talking about, that you can't always have the snacks and candy that look enticing.
But there's one thing we all got in common, and that is no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace.
There's a birthday down at 207. Outsiders got the invitation. Gonna be there, gonna turn them back. Got a big man and a bigger box of baseball bats. I 5 foot Silas Squid. He's a little bit older than the rest of the kids. He's got a gun and it keeps it handy. Gonna meet him down at Snacks and Candy, 'cause we're going down to Snacks and Candy, going down. We're going down to Snacks and Candy, going down. Take some practice, catch down on the playground fence. Somebody's coming, but I surely don't know when. Night riding in a big black hearse, man, it's a big black night down in a Benson hearse. 920 just the ordinary, but something's changing, things are getting scary. Gonna keep the beachhead white and sandy when we rendezvous down at Snacks and Candy, 'cause we're going down to Snacks and Candy, going down. 'Cause we're going down to Snacks and Candy, going down. Now go over to his house. Going straight in her house. near. Somebody said that the black boys are over here. And then I heard a sound just like a firecracker. Must be good old Jojo, he's a pistol pack. And there's a little boy lying like a raggedy Andy. Just another weekend and the snacks and candy. Cause we're going down. The snacks and candy going down. Yeah, we're going down. Oh man, we're going down. Cause we're going down. The snacks and candy going down. Yeah, and we're going down. Yeah, we're going down. Cause we're going down. The snacks and candy going down, 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 down. And we're going down. The snacks and candy going down.
Snacks and Candy from New Haven's Miracle Legion from their 1992 release, Drenched, on the Morgan Creek Music. You know, Mark Mulcahy led that band. He came out of the Saucers, a seminal new wave band in New Haven's punk scene in the 1980s. And then he developed the music a lot. Great songwriter. Moved from the drums to guitar and the lead vocals. And he plays this guy, Ray Neal, on the guitar. And you just heard on that song, I believe, some of the thrashing guitars and the energy from the punk and new wave scene, but then kind of evolved a little more. And he played that on Letterman. He was so pumped up. I remember he was jumping up and down after as he shook Letterman's hand. I love that. I'll never forget watching that video and listening to that song, the way before the guitar solo stops, the way the bass drops from high on neck to low and then goes into this thrashing, shredding guitar solo. I think it really works and it was tight. So anyway, way to go. That was a great song. Mark, he's still around making music, and we're talking about music and headlines and Basslines. WNHH-FM, New Haven's home for community radio, looking back at 2024. Another headline from the year related to the last one. Second drug rehab exec dies. Employees, patients left scrambling for answers. Another story broken by The Independent, where there was a rehab place on the boulevard that was for profit, which always raises questions to me. I don't believe drug rehabilitation should be modeled on a for profit. But in any case, they had a whole national chain. They had all sorts of investors. And all of a sudden, without telling any of the patients, the national people closed down the New Haven center, and employees were sent home not paid for weeks. People that were allegedly drugs, just left out among the place. It wasn't the fault of the local people by any stretch. They were working hard, and a lot of confusing. The state had come in and helped people find other rehab, and within a few days, the two executives of the company, the top person and I think chief financial person, committed suicide, found dead. That was so the search for how to deal with drug addiction goes on. It was a good year in America trend wise, and that addiction did decline, including from the peak we had hit with some of the fentanyl derived street drugs. But a lot of work to do. Hope it's not too much in the for-profit sector. But obviously that leads into the song by Bob Dylan called Tombstone Blues from Highway 61. And you can catch the new movie about Dylan out. It starts today.
The sweet, pretty things on bed now, of course. The city fathers they're trying to endorse. The reincarnation of Paul Revere's horse. But the town has no need to be nervous. The ghost of Belle Star, she hands down her wits to Jezebel and Nun, she violently knits a bald wig for Jack the Ripper, who sits at the head of the Chamber of Commerce. Mama's in a factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in the kitchen with the Tombstone Blues. hysterical bride in the penny arcade. Screaming she moans, I've just been made. Then sends out for the doctor who pulls down the shade and says, my advice is to not let the boys in. Now the medicine man comes and he shuffles inside. He walks with a swagger and he says to the bride, stop all this weeping, swallow your pride. You will not die, it's not poison. Mama's in the factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in the kitchen with the Tombstone Blues. Well, John the Baptist, after torturing a thief, looks up at his hero, the commander-in-chief, saying, tell me, great hero, but please make it brief. Is there a hole for me to get sick in? The commander-in-chief answers him while chasing a fly, saying, death to all those who would whimper and cry. And dropping a barbell, he points to the sky, saying, the sun's not yellow, it's chicken. Mama's in the factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in the kitchen with the Tombstone Blues. King of the Philistines, his soldiers to save, puts jawbones on their tombstones and flatters their graves, puts the Pied Pipers in prison and fattens the slaves, then sends them out to the jungle. Gypsy Davy with a blowtorch, he burns out their camps. With his faithful slave Pedro behind him he tramps, with a fantastic collection of stamps to win friends and influence his uncle. Mama's in a factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in trouble with the Tombstone Blues. The geometry of innocent flesh on the bone causes Galileo's math book to get thrown at Delilah, who's sitting worthlessly alone, but the tears on her cheeks are from laughter. I wish I could give Brother Bill his great thrill. I would set him in chains at the top of the hill, then send out for some pillars and Cecil B. DeMille. He could die happily ever after. Mama's in the factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in the kitchen with the Tombstone Blues. Beethoven once unwrapped a bedroll. Tuba players now rehearse around the flagpole, and the National Bank at a profit sells road maps for the soul to the old folks' home and the college. I wish I could write you a melody so plain that could hold you, dear lady, from going insane, that could ease you and cool you and cease the pain of your useless and pointless knowledge. Mama's in the factory, she ain't got no shoes. Daddy's in the alley, he's looking for food. I'm in the kitchen with the Tombstone Blues. All right.
The Tombstone Blues, Bob Dylan, 1965, here in Headlines and Bassline from the Highway 61 Revisited album, Highway 61. And, you know, that was 65. You know, we're going to 2025, 60 years later. I don't know about you, but when you hear those lyrics. Are you thinking about the Trump administration too, and the people they're bringing on? Whether it's the hucksters like Kash Patel selling stuff to make, and Trump with his Bibles and everything through politics, or the violence and the people being put in the military and the masculinity, toxic masculinity of how we're going to beat our breasts in the world. We're already going to invade Denmark. It sounds like the Panama Canal. Let's look at some of these lyrics about how they can still be so vivid today. Like the National Bank and a Profit sells roadmaps for the soul to the old folks' home and the college. You think about those private colleges and the privatization of the nursing homes and the exploitation, the lack of oversight. Or this, when I was thinking of Pete Hegseth and some of the people Trump likes to have in charge of the military, who he's promising to sick on his opponents. And here's that one verse. It says, John the Baptist, after torturing a thief, looks up at his hero, the commander-in-chief, saying, tell me, great hero, but please make it brief. Is there a hole for me to get sick in? And the commander-in-chief answers him while chasing a fly, saying, death to all those who would whimper and cry. Sounds like Elon Musk. And dropping a barbell, he points to the sky, saying, the sun's not yellow, it's chicken. This headline reminds me of an interesting moment I had this year thinking about how we reconsider what we thought was so true. And then we change our minds based on how reality sets in and how important that is to do, not just for people, but for cities. The headline was, City starts making the new old on State Street. What that meant was when you go from Bradley Street to State or George on downtown New Haven, it's a stretch that kind of bleak now, right? It's kind of a lot of neighborhoods were torn down, a highway got put in, and it got widened, not only in the 60s in urban renewal, but again in the early 80s. The city was worried. These are well-meaning people around the city saying, we're worried we're losing our jobs and our shoppers and everybody in the suburbs. They don't want to live in our city, so let's make it easy for them to drive in and out. That was part of the 60s mistake, but in the 80s, on that stretch of State Street, I remember going to press conferences and stuff, where the mayor said, we're making it like the suburbs. It's going to be wider street for the cars to go in and out and off the highway. And we're going to clear some land for parking lots and suburban style, non-dense office buildings. The prize one being Channel 8. We kept them in New Haven by letting their suburban people jet in and out off the highway and have a lot of room for parking there in this low building on State and Elm. We did keep Channel 8, but we saw this was a loser strategy trying to imitate the suburbs because we could never outdo the suburbs. We had to go with our own strengths. That's the new thinking. It goes under new urbanism, means narrower streets where we can walk and bike and not all about the car. Be a city for people who want to be here rather than trying to out-suburb the suburbs. Have a lot of people living close together, walking on streets, going to stuff, and, rather than having a deserted stretch. So they're rebuilding State Street with, of course, bike lane, but more land to build on again. They're actually going to build apartments after tearing down the apartments and stores before. They're going to build the apartments and stores. So, that's okay, too. While we were building it, I was thinking, let's think about, are we going to change our minds again? Because you never know how the world changes with patterns of work, right? We can't get the office workers again, but we can have experiences. We can have living where you choose to live. You can have, and that's, the economy is going to change again, and our ideas about streets are going to change again, but we do our best reconsidering, and I think it's a good thing and a worthwhile project. And in this song, the chorus is about, I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now, and we think in our youth, or as we get older, we figured it out time and time again. And New Haven development and other issues in New Haven are great examples of that. We realize that when we're so sure something's true and it's going to work out a way, maybe not, and maybe we need to be younger. And this is Marshall Crenshaw doing his version of Bob Dylan's My Back Pages.
Crimson flames tied through my ears, rolling high in mighty drafts. I pounced with fire on flaming roads, using ideas as my maps. We'll meet on edges soon, said I, proudly heated brow. Oh, but I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. Half-rack prejudice instant that I preached. My pathway led by confusion boats, mutiny from stern to bow. Oh, but I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. So much older then, I'm younger than that now. Yes, my God stood hard when abstract threats, too noble to neglect, deceived me into thinking that I had something to protect. Good and bad, I define these terms quite clear, no doubt somehow. But I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now.
I was so much older then. I'm younger than that now. Hopefully we stay young. Keep our minds open to new experiences, new ideas. Jesse Turner, thanks for listening and have approved of that choice. And I'm so glad you're part of our radio station, Jesse. You listen to WNHH FM, Headlines and Basslines. We're looking over headlines from the year, looking back and a little bit forward. Here was a big headline that kind of came and went by Tom Breen. City reaches $14.5 million fatal fire settlement. And Lord goes, we worked on that too. That was from a few years ago in the Hill. Our city's anti-blight agency, LCI, fell down on the job, keeping track of a building that was a fire trap and illegal rooming house from one of the slumlords that plague our city. And 2 people died in a fire there, and their estates settled for a lot of money. And it was justice. It took time, but they got their justice. What also took time is the agency had to be improved, and it took a mayoral election to put that on the front burner. And to the credit of the city's mayor, he hired a person who ran against him, who had a lot of ideas and was critical of the agency. He said, hey, you fix it. And he is. The agency's doing a better job now. Hopefully we won't. I think as good things happen, it's a hard job keeping on track of all these slumlords because of all the private profit that gets interjected into the way we house people who have no other choices of where they can afford to live. It's pretty sick and see the results. But I think LCI is having a good second half of this year, and it's going to get better. And just some things take time, as Hooray for the Riff Raff. They had one of the great albums of this year, in my opinion. And they have a song about that, how some things take time, whether it's fixing how a city works or getting justice in a lawsuit, or in this song, watching for the stampede of the buffaloes or making a love relationship work. Beautiful song from Hooray for the Riff Raff, Buffalo, here on Datelines, Headlines, Basslines.
Raging river, saddled up by the Pino fire. Drove out to the edge of the Pueblo, bought a drum from a man who cried. And the children's shoes on the ceiling, and the way that you hold my hand. And I yelled and I didn't know the reason, but I knew that you'd understand. 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo, 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo. Some things take time, I know they do. Some things take time, I know they do. I hope our time will never go. I hope our time will never go. 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo, 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo. Will we go like the woolly mammoth or the deer dodo? Gone like the batchman's warbler, disappeared like the melting snow. Little Mary on a fruit bats, or the bridled white-eyed bird? Or will we keep on running like the sound of the buffalo herd? That sky-red honk recorded out on his cousin's farm up north in Minnesota. He tied the recorder in the yard up to a gate post waiting, slept out in a tent to hear the rumble of the big stampede that one day magically appeared. 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo. 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo. Some things take time, I know they do. Some things take time, I know they do. I hope our time will never go. I hope our time will never go. 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo. 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo. And I want us to be like that, running wild and running free. This year tried to kill us, baby. Well, good luck trying, you can't catch me. And I'll jump off this cliff with you, if that means we will survive. 'Cause we drove out to the desert just to leave the past behind. And our footsteps fall in shadows, treading light down the canyon trail. And the sun is barely rising, and the stars like a wedding veil. And I cannot lie to you, 'cause you can read my mind. So I think I'll try with you. Some things just take more time. 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo. 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo. Some things take time. Some things take time. And I hope our time will never go. I hope our time will never go. 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo. 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 Some things take time, I know they do. Some things take time, and I hope our time will never go. I hope our time will never go. 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo. 2 weeks just to catch the buffalo.
Some things take time, and more time. And it's worth putting it in. Thank you for putting in the time with WNHH FM all year with us. Thanks for hanging with us. We lost some people this year, by the way, who put a lot of time into New Haven, a lot of effort. Joel Schiavone, Tom Ficklin, Nick Pastor, a lot of people who really made a difference in our city. And we'll miss them, but we'll keep carrying on the work. And so thank you for joining me today on Datelines and Headlines and Basslines. Thanks for another year in New Haven. We live in a great city. Some days are tough, some weeks are tough. I think we emerge stronger from the work we put in together and the way we care about each other. I look forward to another year, 2025, after we have our breaks that we need. I look forward to being in New Haven, working with the great crew at the independent La Voz Hispana, WNHH FM, including, of course, Harry Drost, the station manager, who's everybody's favorite to work with here and does such a great job and works so hard making this radio station work and caring about all the people who take part. So on to another year. Guess how we're going to take it out? With the Afro-Semitic Experience performing I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free from their album A Plea for Peace. This is Paul Bass inviting you to fly free with us all day, all night, all weekend, and all year long at WNHH, New Haven's home